Oh, cool. I didn't see it.
Oh, so it feels too early to eat.
Ivan. Sure.
It's too early to eat. It's just, could we, like in an hour?
Absolutely. Okay. Ivan, are we ready to go? Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So let me call to order the select board meeting for the town of Hanover for January 12th, 2026. I will ask my fellow board members for any review of the agenda, or Rob, anything we want to change the order for this meeting?
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's turn to public comment. This is the period of the agenda when the public is welcome to address the select board. We ask that one addresses issues not already scheduled on the agenda. We ask that individuals restrict their comments to 5 minutes. Questions will be directed to the chair of the select board. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the select board at this time? David, if you could please come forward to the table.
My name is David Vincelet. I live in Hanover. I've lived here since 1980 when I attended Dartmouth College. I was brought to Dartmouth by God and also to my lands on Mink Brook. When I was graduating college, I needed a place to live because I'd signed up back into the military. I was training in Vermont. I needed a place for 6 years. I found a little cabin along Mink Brook. Now, last time I spoke to you, sir, I called you a Dartmouth Democrat stooge, and I didn't want you to get the impression that you were special because of that. Because I think there's many members of this board who are Dartmouth Democrat stooges. You've all concealed crimes by Dartmouth and by Hanover. And you have a town manager who should be in federal prison, except you promoted him. Now, why is it you have that emblem on the wall behind you, sir? Do you know what it is?
Go ahead, David.
It's Baker Tower Library at Dartmouth College, right? Why is that on the wall in the Hanover boardroom?
Your time to talk, David. Go ahead.
I'm asking you a question. I'm supposed to ask you the question.
You are free to talk for 5 minutes.
So once again, you won't answer questions. That emblem is supposedly of the college, but this is a town office, a governmental office. There's supposed to be a separation of church and state. There's supposed to be a separation of powers. Not supposed to allow criminals who run a college, who've spent $50 million cleaning up one mess from poison pumped into the ground, thrown into the ground. On the other side of town, they've spread asphalt waste, coal tar, sewage. They don't have any responsibility to clean it up. Instead, my land has been stolen, my house is torn down, and our water polluted. And this board is unwilling to put me on the agenda to get the 4 department heads who are involved in federal crimes to testify before the public about what they've done. The 8th article of the New Hampshire Constitution requires officers of the town to be open and honest. None of that is happening. You promised me 2 years ago you were going to answer 2 important questions. Who was allowed to put poison in our water, and how were we warned? You failed to do that as you promised. This board has not kept its responsibilities to the public. The public has a right to know what's going on. When 3 members of this board are Dartmouth employees, and it's been that way for 20 years, and we've been polluted for 20 years, it's not perhaps just a coincidence. I went to the college. April 14th, 2014, I was taken out in handcuffs and leg cuffs for trying to see the president. There's something stinks in Hanover. It starts with that emblem on the wall behind you. This isn't Dartmouth College's town. It seems like it is, but it's not. It belongs to the people. And the people have a right to be heard and a right to have questions answered by their board who represents them supposedly, instead of being silenced. The town made a 5-minute rule just because I was coming here. The town put a police officer at select board hearings just because I was coming here. Something has to change. This board needs to become open to answering questions asked by people who are trying to protect their families. You put us in a prison for 2 years. This select board, two of these members, well, one isn't sitting here because he's not here tonight. Athos Rassius, who's been here the longest and should be the head of the chairman of the select board, he's been here for like 18 or 19 years, almost as long as the town has been polluting us. It's my call.
Any other members of the public who wish to address the select board at this time? No. Okay. All right. Thank you. Let us move on to business requiring discussion. So tonight we are in the first of a series of meetings on the fiscal year 26-27 budget. Many department heads are here in attendance. Thank you all for all your work. We look forward to your hearing about your budgets. And I know, Ellen, you've been working, and Rob, you've been working together with the department heads. Do you have any introductory comments prior to the individual presentations?
First, thank Ellen and the department heads for their heavy lift. This is an iterative process, and I'm stealing Ellen's terms here, but what you have before you is the expense side of the house. And Ellen, would you like to add anything more?
Sure. Again, we are kicking off the 2027 budget process, and we're going to have 10 small departments presented tonight in the Howe. And tonight, just for a quick overview, we'll be covering $6.1 million worth of proposed appropriations, and 77% of which are personnel costs. And that makes sense given that we're to a great extent looking at support departments. But that's where we're going to start with the process. And our Human Resources Department will kick us off tonight.
You're with us as we maneuver the technology side of this.
Welcome, Tina.
Hi, thanks.
Yes.
So button down, right?
Yes, in theory, button down.
So for those that I've not met yet, my name is Tina Canfield and I'm the new HR director here. And so thank you for taking the time. I'm a little nervous because this is the first time I've had to do it and I don't have anybody to follow. So bear with me if I make a mistake. But I guess we'll just get started. Maybe. Oh, okay. So the HR department consists of 2 team members, and our mission is to provide leadership, guidance, and support for the entire life cycle of an employee from recruitment through retirement. The HR department is responsible for managing and supporting employees through recruitment, benefit management, compliance and policy and labor law, workplace relations, and promoting positive workplace culture. The 2 members are myself, the HR director, and our recently hired HR coordinator. So I'm excited to say we are fully staffed.
And what is your HR coordinator's name?
Paige Hillary. The mission of the Human Resources Department is to support and empower employees by fostering a fair, inclusive, and safe workplace, providing opportunities for growth and development, and ensuring equitable and lawful employment practices that enable employees to serve the community effectively. My goals for FY27 will be to implement fair and consistent performance management evaluations, implement a more robust offboarding process, and develop consistent processes and procedure manuals for critical HR functions. Oh, ooh, did I just?
I did.
Make sure that's the last year's. Okay, so our current budget consists of a total budget of $322,919. Personnel is $270,119 of that, and our operation costs are $52,800. The variance from FY25 was positive 6.5%. And there was a decrease in professional services and other operational costs last year that created that adjustment. My total proposed budget for FY27 is $335,773. Personnel is $259,992 of that, with operations increasing to $75,781. The variance from FY26 is a positive 4%. And the increase is due to operational costs is due to the implementation of Bamboo HR, which I had previously discussed. I think it was a month and a half ago. Our current staffing levels are 2, effective as of last week. Full-time, 2 equivalents, no contracted positions. I have no proposed staffing changes, no additional additions, reductions, or realignments, and 0 cost impacts to my personnel, other than cost of living. So some of the challenges and opportunities that the HR department faces, we have the opportunity to work with department heads to streamline processes for more productive outcomes, opportunities to research additions to employee benefit packages to be more competitive and robust. And our biggest challenge is the cost of living and lack of affordable housing, which creates a challenge to fill some of those open positions. That's all I have. Questions?
Thank you, Tina. So I know you previously have described some of the benefits of Bamboo, but can you just remind the select board and for members of the public who might not know what the transition entails, what the benefits are? That would be helpful.
Sure. So Bamboo HR is our new HRIS system. So it's going to allow us to have better analytics in HR by tracking our hiring processes, our offboarding, onboarding. We are replacing our NeoGov applicant tracking system with Bamboo so that we can have a more streamlined process from the hire all the way through. It also has the performance evaluation module that we will also implement, which will help us obviously train and learn how to grow within our departments with feedback from employees and their managers. So it's a full system.
So one of your goals is to actually do evaluations. Is that across the board or just managers or?
No, it's across the board.
Across the board.
Yeah.
And
or at least a more consistent. They are being done to some extent, but this allows us to track those key performance indicators as well as making sure that everybody has a component to it. The system allows for one-on-one tracking. So if the employees and their managers throughout the year are having these one-on-one meetings to discuss continuous growth opportunities, you can keep notes in there to help keep everything just together.
And I noticed that another goal is to have a more robust offboarding. Where I work, we have trouble onboarding, so I've never heard about this offboarding. So maybe you can just describe that a little.
Yeah. So one of the nice things about this system is it allows us to keep track of the steps that we need to take to offboard someone effectively. A lot of times if someone were to just leave today, it's a scramble, like, do we have this? Is this in place? Have we shut, their access off to email, all these things. So some of it is really just an efficiency process. The other piece though is the exit interview, right? Making sure that we are in communication with everybody that leaves to get that feedback so that we can try to either find opportunities to do better or ways that we could have, maybe changed an outcome. And, sometimes people retire and that's what we hope for. But other reasons that either outside of our capabilities or something that we could have controlled. So we can just track that data.
Okay, great, thank you.
So Tina, you cited cost of living and housing as key constraints. worked in other environments, other communities, any sideline advice you would, or not really sideline advice, any advice you'd give us for things that we can do better to help us with that issue?
It's really hard, right? Because it's like if you can't find affordable places to live, or just even, I know my newest employee, she moved up here from Pennsylvania, and it took them a while to find a place to land. So luckily, she didn't start looking until she had a place, but that's not always the case. Sometimes we go through the process of hiring somebody outside of the area, and then, a month in, they're like, I just can't find anybody, and then pull back their application. We have to start over. So I think that's a bigger thing that I can't really navigate.
You don't have a solution.
I don't. I mean, there are things like, remote work that sometimes makes it easier, but that's a whole nother ball of wax for public facing jobs.
Thank you. Other questions? Thank you very much, Tina. Thank you. Turning to assessing, Rob, right?
That's me.
Yep.
See if I can read it. Start with the acknowledgement that Norm Bernache is retired from the town effective December 31st. I want to thank him for his service. The town has been trying to put in place a solution for covering the assessing work. We are in discussions with and negotiations with 2 consulting firms to have a consulting service in place, both in the near term to cover us through the abatement process, and then in the longer term, a 3 to 5 year horizon, so that we migrate the supervision and technical assessing side that requires us assessing supervisor certification into a contract operations position. With that in mind, I'll go through the budget presentation. The department is responsible for valuing all real estate, including both taxable and non-taxable parcels. There's approximately 3,600 parcels that require data verification, transaction record recording and analysis. We are required to comply with the state assessing guidelines and are monitored by the state of New Hampshire. The department consists of 2 employees, Sue Gerard, our assessing clerk, and Jerry Roberts, our real estate appraiser, level 2. The mission statement obviously is, I shouldn't say obviously, but it's to provide fair, accurate, and equitable assessments for a mutual benefit of all stakeholders in the town. Our goal is to transition to a contract-based model to deliver responsibilities of the assessing department and support 2 full-time employees. The goal is to continue training, recertification, and certification attainment to satisfy the staff's continuous education requirements and advance authorization levels. Goal 3 is to continuously monitor new sales, inspect properties, and building permits to evaluate. I need to switch glasses. Sorry. To evaluate value changes and analyze data. Goal 4 is to ensure data is accurate and up to date as new information is reviewed, respond to requests for record changes, exemptions, and permits. The summary of the budget is as follows, and I'm going to go left to right, if you will. Proposed existing budgets $422,632. Proposed budget, you'll see a decrease down to $338,565. The shift is in personnel primarily and benefits. We current budget again is $380,905 for personnel. That'll drop down to $203,143. Operation changes from $41,727 up to $135,422. That's where we're dealing with the contracted services. And the variance year to year from last year increased the budget by 10.3%. This year, we're seeing a decrease of 20%. Last year's budget, this current year's budget increased due to the cost of the revalve, and the decrease we're forecasting is due to change in contracted services. We're confident that we will land contracted service with a very capable firm that's excited to come to Hanover and looks at Hanover as an opportunity to do assessing at a level that's not generally available elsewhere in the state. Primarily the college-related assets, the large dorms under construction, the combination of taxable, non-taxable, an intriguing combination of things that excite them.
As assessors go.
Assessors go.
Exciting.
How do they do the non-taxable assessment? I guess it's a larger conversation.
We assess, we come up with the assessed value, then we list them as exempt. But it's a square foot and use calculation based on.
A square foot in use, you said?
Yes. Part of our model. So, let me.
So it's similar to commercial?
The value is exactly the same, coming up with the value. And then it's.
But exempt, yes.
Yeah. So in your packet, you received a detailed spreadsheet not that detailed, but a cover sheet that explains the budget and the snapshot. And this gives you an overview of what those changes are. Line items 2 and 3, the reallocation of compensation, to professional services, line item 4, and the reduction of line item 4 to eliminate the peer review, which was in our budget for the revalve. So line item 7, adjusted because we're not doing a revalve, so we don't have a big mailing requirement. Key challenges the department faces: transition to a contract model, and integration of the contract team to successfully deliver responsibilities of the assessing department. Budget constraints, none. Opportunity for innovation, partnership, and cost savings. Explore new technology, provide a better product to our customers, especially online and self-service platforms. That's what we're looking at. And happy to answer any questions you may have.
Does this consultant just work within New Hampshire?
Yes. So we have a team that's been each consultant has given us a team. The consultant we're leaning towards has assigned team members who have, one of which was previously employed by the town in the position that Jerry now holds. She's an assessing supervisor. So we have a team of about 7 assessors and assessing supervisors that would be part of the package. The program will be designed around having people available in the office 2 days a week, one assessor supervisor. That assessor would be in the field working with Jerry to make sure the pickups are done. I'll point out that Jerry hasn't done commercial property yet. So a lot of the heavy lift for this team will be working on the commercial side and the college side, and then also mentoring Jerry through the process to ensure that he has the opportunity to grow in the position he's in.
Great.
How's the abatement process going?
So they're bundled. Right now we're receiving them. The deadline is March 1st. The town has from March 1st to July 1 to hear and act on all abatements. And this consultant approach will meet that requirement. And there'll be a two-step contract. The first is that July 1 deadline, and then a year-long contract tied to our fiscal year calendar.
Is the number that we've been, because I know that, anytime there's a reval, there's a unknown number of abatements that will come in. How's it looking?
When we teed this up with the department, I think we had a dozen or so abatements already filed. They typically come in as the deadline approaches.
27th.
Okay.
Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, they're making decisions and deciding how to package it. And
Okay.
so we bundle it up. Jerry's doing a preliminary review, setting it up for our consultant to move it forward in a timely fashion.
Thank you. Any further questions for Rob on assessment? Thank you. Right, next up is the Etna Library. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you. Guys, for taking the time tonight. Letting
Good
us.
to meet you. Moment, Jeff. I had them all in order and I lost them. Jeff's.
He can probably give us the overview.
Let's get.
Yeah.
He kind of knows that, he's got
The
notes.
first
Well,
slides don't have much actual content, so yes. So I just wanted to mention, the Etna Library's legal name is the Hanover Town Library. We were established as Hanover's original public town-supported library in 1898. Then the building was constructed a few years later in 1905. So we serve as a cornerstone of the Etna community. Increasingly, we serve all areas of Hanover as well. We have unique offerings like our circulating Tony audio figures, our video game collection, our seed library, dog library, story walk, and our robust programming, which continue to draw more first-time visitors each year. The Etna Library is governed by 3 voter-elected library trustees. Our current trustees are Betsy Storrs, John Collier, and Sherry Baker. Etna Library has 2 regular staff members and 2 substitutes. So aside from myself, we have an assistant librarian who works 12 hours a week. That's Sarah Molesworth, and she's been with the library for 11 years now. Our 2 substitutes are Mary Ellen Rigby, who has served in this position for 8 years, and Stephanie Snelling, who has served for 17 years in this position. So I will catch up on the slides here. Yeah, I think. Yes, I think we're just finishing with that one. So library's mission statement is up on the screen there. I will let you read over that if you'd like while I talk a little bit about the few of the goals that the library has for the upcoming fiscal year. These include continuing to make the most of our beautiful backyard. We have Hayes Farm Park and the Bird Sanctuary, King Bird Sanctuary right in back of the library, to do more outdoor events and programming out in nature. This will be easier than ever before now, thanks to the gazebo that was donated to the library in honor of Petey Burney. So that went up end of October. So we haven't had a whole lot of time to use it with the weather, but we're going to look forward to spring and being able to do programs out there. We're hoping to continue to evolve our current program list with new activities. This goal is dependent on levels of FY27 personnel funding, which I will detail in a few moments. And as our usage statistics continue to rise, our small space is increasingly difficult to keep up with community demands for our collections and our programming. So the library trustees and I have started planning feasibility and community interest studies for a possible second addition to the library's original building. See if I can get this to
Point it this way.
I might need your backup graph. So the next slide here is showing our current FY26 budget. Etna Library has a modest operating budget of $20,955 this fiscal year. 2 largest budget lines within our operating budget is for circulating materials, allowing us to buy materials that patrons can borrow, and our programming budget, which allows us to offer events to the public. Most of our expenses, like we've talked about tonight, are personnel related. I'm the library's sole full-time employee. Assistant librarian works 12 hours per week. We have one substitute who works 4 hours each Saturday, and then additional substitute hours are needed, are used as needed for backup. You'll notice a large variance from the prior year on the screen. As mentioned last time I was here, this was primarily caused by $19,000 in flex benefits for the library director's position. This money had been incorrectly charged to the Howe Library in previous fiscal years, so this existing expense was moved over to the Etna Library's budget in FY26. You'll see here a proposed FY27 budget. So the total proposed is $145,462. You can see the breakdown on the screen between personnel and operations. This would be a +6 variance from the current fiscal year, although not exactly. We're also proposing an increase in library revenue as well. We would draw about $4,000 from trust funds and funds raising sources. If you count these inclusions as well, the variance for this fiscal year would lower to +3.7%. Again, because of the small size of the Etna Library's overall budget, the step and COLA increases for the 2 regular staff positions are enough to trigger a variance of this size. Next slide, please, Rob.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah, of
on
course.
the prior slide, do the fundraising and trust fund revenues flow through the town, or is that do they not flow through to the town?
The trust, Ellen might be better suited to answer, but the library has a number of trust funds that are accessed through the trustees of the trust funds, where we submit different kind of plans to use that money, and then it has to go through that process and be approved through the town.
And that goes against expenses that are part of the town's budgeted expenses, or are those expenses in a separate pool, I guess is the question.
So and the reason why Jeff is calling this out is because these are specific use of the trust funds that would otherwise not be in the budget. And so, yes, both the expenses and then the allocation or the distribution from the trust will flow through the general fund budget.
Yeah, we basically found ways to plug in existing trust fund money for needs that the library has to offset costs for taxpayers by plugging them directly into those sources.
Thank you.
Yes. Next slide, please, Rob. Separate from these proposed budget totals are requests for additional hours for staff that you can see up on the screen here. We decided to highlight these proposals in their own slide to fully explain them. So just to make clear, these personnel requests are not currently included in the proposed budget numbers I just shared. The first of these personnel requests is to add 3 additional hours per week to the assistant librarian position. This would increase the weekly hours of that position from 12 to 15. A related request is to add a total of 50 hours a year to the pool of substitute librarian hours. And the rationale behind these requests is displayed in the different colored boxes up there, the blue boxes. The Etna Library had more visitors, more event attendees, and circulated more books and items in FY25 than ever before in the institution's 127-year history. The statistics in the blue box show 3 key categories, and each compares FY25 first to FY24 and then to FY19. FY19 really quickly was chosen as the most accurate comparison point to show the library's recent growth because FY19 statistics are very similar to those of the 2 decades preceding it, and because FY20 and 21 are outliers because of COVID. So you'll see the total raw numbers for patron visits, items circulated, and event attendees on the screen. Looking quickly at the first number of patron visits, the library saw a 19% increase in FY25 over 24 and a 92% increase over FY19. For items circulated, we saw a 22% increase in FY25 over 24 and a 59% increase over FY19. We also saw a 10% increase in event attendees from FY25 compared to FY24, and a 48% increase when looking back at FY19. A quick note that the event attendees are already included in the total patron visit numbers above, but they're also included here, highlighted on their own to represent the popularity of the library's programming. While the surge in the community's engagement with the Etna Library is terrific, it's also very taxing on our resources. The increases detailed here equate to over 5,000 more patrons walking through our doors and 5,000 more materials circulating for patrons in FY25 compared to just a few years ago. The significant workload growth has led to once manageable ongoing programs becoming untenable due to increasing attendance, and has led to struggles to innovate further and to offer additional programming and event activities that the community has requested. In attempts to meet rising community needs, I have streamlined workflows and have worked overtime hours. I've addressed workload increases by utilizing the library's pool of amazing volunteers. We've also partnered on events with many other community groups to help share programming costs and workloads. All these things are a big help, but they're no longer quite enough. The additional hours proposed, spread across the assistant librarian and library substitute positions, will enable the Etna Library to continue to meet these new levels of community demand. They will enable us to keep our current service offerings, and they will allow us to provide additional programs, special events, and activities. The inclusion of these additional staff hours would add less than $5,000 to the Etna Library's total FY27 budget, and I thank the Select Board in advance for your consideration of their inclusion. Next slide, please, Rob. So challenges was just highlighted, and our greatest opportunities continue to be our volunteers, continuing to utilize the library's trust fund in new ways, and collaborating with our numerous community partners. Community donations are also instrumental in helping bring the services of the Etna Library to the next level. As the Select Board must approve each individual donation at your meetings, I know that you all have front row seats to the increased donations the library has been receiving from residents who are grateful for what we're offering to the community, including a large donation of $25,000 from the Burney family for a gazebo. The Etna Library received over 48,000 donations throughout FY25 and received another 1,500 from our 2 annual fundraisers. We're deeply grateful for these community contributions and for the support, as it has helped elevate the Etna Library in ways that otherwise would not have been possible. And final slide, please, Rob. And we have arrived at questions. So I know you have a lot more to hear tonight, but I'm also happy to answer any questions you might have.
Jeff, I know I asked a couple along the way, so, but are there other questions? Select Board.
I do want to, if there are no questions from the Select Board, I want to point out that Jeff, Ellen, and I have been discussing the trustees, the trust funds that they have, and how we can better utilize them to help address costs associated with the library. We have about $259,000 in trust funds, in addition to the donations they receive. Some of them were very specific earmarks, like outdoor education. So we're looking at how we can use that to offset the cost as they come forward.
And I'll just add that the great majority of those trust funds are income only. They are perpetual funds. So there isn't $259,000 of resources immediately available, but it is significant.
Terrific, good place to be in. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
Good work.
Appreciate it.
Do you know how many dogs are coming?
How many what?
Dogs.
Not quite yet. We'll have to see, yeah, so wait and see, but yeah, excited about it. Yeah.
Ellen, you might be up next.
I am.
Yes.
Subject to my ability to do finance.
Yeah.
Moved it.
Oh, I can see it. Okay.
Hang on. Oh, I mean, all right, I'll do it. There we go.
Thank you, Rob. We can go to the first slide. The finance and accounting department, of course, is responsible for managing the day-to-day financial transactions for all of the town departments. And I don't want to steal any of Tracy Walsh's thunder because she has some numbers on her slides. But as you can imagine, I'll just comment that there are a lot of financial transactions. And so the role that we play is essential. And we provide financial control and oversight and ensure accurate reporting of all those transactions. And, you know, all of our 6 main functions are very important, but I'd like to highlight 2 tonight. Payroll processing, I think, is of greatest importance to our employees. And so that's very important. But second, I'd just also like to call out our cash management practices, particularly over the last couple of years, where we have worked very hard to put the town's free cash to work, earning interest. And that effort contributed over $900,000 of revenue to the general fund in fiscal year 2025. Now, of course, that opportunity is diminishing with lowering interest rates, but we continue to maximize that impact. So that's a very concerted effort by our team, and I think it's a great accomplishment. 100% of our team returned for this season. I don't know if we have any football fans in the audience, but no one entered the transfer portal. And I think that continuity really benefits our processes. So next slide. Our mission statement does focus on the accurate transacting and communication of all financial status to departments, boards, commissions, and the public. And we safeguard the financial interests of the town, and we comply with all federal, state, and local rules and regulations. As demonstrated tonight, managing and supporting an effective, transparent budget process is also a key responsibility and mission. Of our goals for this coming year, a couple of them are carried over from last year, including updating policies and transitioning from a paper-based to electronic departments. But key goal this year, I think, is to support the integration of timekeeping data from the Bamboo system, which Tina spoke about, as well as exploring potential interface between our accounting system and the proposed clerks and tax collector software that Tracy will address in her presentation. And as always, our goal is to deliver an unqualified fiscal year 2026 audit. Just a quick look at our current year budget for fiscal 2026, $605,000 with 92% of our budget allocated for personnel costs. Year over year from the prior year, we did see a budget increase of 12%. That was mostly due to increased cost of benefits and just a change in elected benefits. For 2027, our proposed budget is $614,000, showing a modest increase of 1.5% over last year. Again, personnel costs continue to represent 92% of that budget. And I am calling out that the numbers do assume my transition by the beginning of next year. I certainly am committed to staying as long as the town needs me to be here, but wanted to call out that that's what these numbers do assume. In addition, our IT costs include a small increase of our cost of our accounting system that will allow that integration for timekeeping, and we do have a couple of replacements of hardware. Challenges and opportunities, again, with a focus on supporting both technology and personnel transitions. And we want to focus on policies and procedures really to leave a documented roadmap and just really use the motivation of integrating the technology from these two new systems to sort of move forward our identification of potential leveraging of our current accounting system. So it'll be a busy year.
Yeah.
Thank you for the clarity and specificity around the goals. That was very exacting. We appreciate that. And we snuck in the July 1st date. And, we have mixed feelings about that, Ellen, to be honest. Happy for you.
Yeah, but you've done an awesome job.
You
so
have.
we really appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
Appreciate all the support.
Yes, thank you. Questions for Ellen around her budget or goals?
Just a general question, on a couple of these budgets is charges from MIS, what's MIS?
IT,
IT.
so computers, computer software.
And you'll see in Corey's budget, the dollars sort of flow in there and then flow back out. And I think that's to maintain an oversight of that piece of our business.
Anything else? No. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank
Appreciate it.
You
Okay, next up is Tracy.
Yes.
Welcome.
Good job.
All right. See if it's gonna work.
No, there you go.
I won't go through and read the entire slide to you. We haven't made many changes as far as what we do in last year, but kind of to drill down again on our core functions, which are the collections of property taxes and utilities, acting as a municipal agent for the state as regards to cars, which takes up a lot of our clerk's time. Working with vital records, cemetery deeds, dog licenses, and of course, managing, working with elections. And keeping up with all the regulatory requirements tied to all of those functions. We're just always trying to keep up with what's happening. Just in the last 2 weeks, the state of New Hampshire has invoked new state fees for all of our motor vehicles. So our clerks had to get those inputted and answer questions from residents as costs have gone up. But we have a super solid team right now. I wish I took one in from the transfer portal from Hartford, Vermont. Carrie Thibodeau, our new tax collector who's been on now for a couple of months, has been solid and has just brought a really wonderful degree of knowledge to this work. And I think we're just going to have great things as she stays on part of our team. And of course, following town meeting last year, I moved into the town clerk role. Bobby Hitchcock is now serving as deputy town clerk and will continue to focus on elections. And Marcia Kelly joined the team as one of the supervisors of the checklist. Mission is essentially to continue to provide helpful, efficient, and friendly customer service with transparency, integrity, and dedication resulting in public confidence and respect for government. The clerks are so public facing. They're working with our residents all day, every day. But when we think about our goals for 26, 27, and Ellen has kind of foreshadowed a little bit, as always, our main goal is to continue to work on our staff training, making sure our folks are staying up to date on regulatories and in doing their work well. But we do have a goal to launch and start use of a new tax clerk software program, which I'll talk about more in a moment. We also will be launching our new tabulators next year. So we're going to have, some new toys to play with, we hope, in the clerk's office. And kind of an overarching goal, if we move forward with this new software, is really beginning a move to some more paperless billing. We're hoping to minimize mailing costs, paper use, staff time, increase some efficiencies is the goal.
On that,
Yes.
so are you proposing that property taxes go out electronically? Or
Too soon to say that. We would need to have our new system. It is a possibility, the software we're using, and we are allowed regulatorily, if a customer prefers to have paperless billing, they can opt into that. We actually already have, we already do essentially paperless billing for Dartmouth College. We do not send paper bills. We do it all electronically. So
Know that, I was saying that I personally.
you do, but we
I don't know
still,
anything
but,
about
but we
it.
still mail out paper bills at this time for all property taxes and all water sewers except for the college. But it would allow, customers ask for it all the time. So we're looking hopeful that that will happen. And as Ellen said, she asked me to just pull together some numbers on us. You know, we collected over $4 million in utilities. We do 4 sets of bill a year, 2,000 a set. I won't read it all. We collected over $54 million in property tax payments. The office processed over $60 million through the clerk's office downstairs. The 881 dog licenses, we're hoping to increase that in the next year, and Gary is already working hard and getting our 26 numbers up. We produced over 1,800 vital records. Those are your birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates. I didn't even put in the marriage licenses. We registered over 2,000 voters. And in the lower pie chart just showed you kind of our breakdown. This was the checklist, which was a snapshot before we did our annual removals of Dartmouth students and others who've moved out. The current checklist sits at just about 8,000 people. So, and I also gave on the top just a little breakdown of the $1.8 million in motor vehicle work that we did.
Tracy, on that, what is the slice that's labeled state only?
Yeah, we do. We're not always able to process all vehicle registrations here. Some of them, we do just our little portion here and then they go on to the state to get finished. This is like your dump trucks, the very big machinery and things that are actually often the more complicated and take up a lot of time. And we, take our portion here and send it on somewhere else.
Thank you.
Yeah. There we go. Again, won't read all the numbers. Like most of these small departments were primarily personnel with an operation budget. And the town clerk current budget, though, it did show an increase in the year before because you had allocated us the funds that we used to buy the tabulators. We also had done some placeholding funds for other election works. We looked at pull pads and others. At this time, we are not going to move forward with those purchases. So we're not going to be actually using the entirety of the funds allocated to us for operations this year. And so moving forward for 27, it actually shows even with the addition of new software, our overall budget would end up going down. It's the operations numbers, but in the operations numbers of 79,195, 18.5 of that is a projected year one cost for moving to the new software. That's going to drop down to around $9,000 moving forward, which is currently on par with what we've been paying for our current software on a year-to-year basis. And we're going to be able to eliminate some line items that we currently are paying when we move to hopefully the new software, because we've been paying with 3 or 4 different ways to cover all the things that we need. And there's some funds in there for some computer upgrades as well. And then I also kind of cover 2 budgets. So if we look at the tax collection side, in the current year, we actually had gone down, which is generally just differences in compensation. All our budgets are so small, variations give higher numbers sometimes. But as I look forward to 27, of the operations requested of 39,150, again, 28.8 of that is a projected 1-year cost to move to the new software. It will drop down to 7 or 8K moving forward, still on par with what we've been doing with the current software. And when Ellen and I were looking at moving it to the new software system, we've also kind of reallocated what is classified as clerk and what's classified as tax collector moving forward, just to more properly reflect the primary usage of parts of the software. It's all one bundle, it's just getting split across the 2. We're also putting a little bit more in professional development to work on our professional development of our new tax collector. We were hoping to get her much more involved. We're going to look at sending her through a 3 to 4 year annual certification process, at the end of which she would become a certified town clerk / tax collector, which is one of the highest levels of kind of internal certification in the state. And I've now talked about Avatar. So our proposal is to move to a tax clerk software proposed, given to us by Avatar Associates. This does not, Avatar is known for its assessing software. This is not, we don't affect assessing. This is just for the processing of clerk and tax transactions. It includes the motor vehicles. It's embedded within the system. Some of these things we're currently paying third parties. It'll allow true linked invoicing for both our motor vehicle registrations and our dog licenses. Right now, we are actually kind of uploading things, and they're not truly linked invoices. I think it's going to create a lot more clarity for our residents. As I alluded to, thinking about paperless billing for multiple invoices, less paper, hopefully less cost of postage. It continues to use Invoice Cloud, and if any of you have paid your bills online, it uses the same third-party vendor for those online payments. So it'll be, in that sense, a somewhat seamless transition, I think, for residents, because they'll still be paying those. It may look a little different, but it's the same software. Invoice Cloud also allows for an easy transition to paperless billing if we do move in that direction. We do think there'll be an improved residence experience for the tax utility payments through this thing that's known as the Tax Collect Kiosk. I gave an example from, I can't even remember which town I found. Lebanon, there we go, because they're using this right now. They use the software program already. And just to go back, we've been working on what's known as Munismart, which we purchased in 2008. So we've been kind of limping along with the same software since then. And there are less than 30 statewide users of the current software right now that we're using. And there is literally one contact name for support. And I'm definitely worried about moving forward if we don't make a move soon to a new program. When our one contact person had to leave suddenly due to a family emergency and I actually needed assistance, I actually wasn't able to do anything for 2 to 3 days until he returned to the office. So that is the overview, and happy to answer any additional questions.
Questions for Tracy?
A lot of stuff goes through that office.
That's what Ellen and I were chatting. She just thought it would be useful to see how much actually is going through those 2 clerks downstairs and with me as backup, independent of our election work. They're hopping down there.
Thank you for the presentation. Thanks for all you do.
Thanks.
And please thank your staff too.
Yes. We move on to Corey.
Tori, can you sit at this seat? And
I'll sit wherever you tell me, Rob.
I'm trying to think that the Bluetooth.
That works better.
Yeah, might work better. Like, that was an attempt to stall. I was trying to. Thank you.
Corey, you're much anticipated because all we've heard this.
What is MIS?
MIS.
There's a lot of movement going
A
on.
lot of stuff going on.
Always is.
Yes.
Plus the fair amount that we create on our own, so. Tonight, I'm gonna we'll see what Rob has for my slides here.
I want you to do it.
I'm gonna summarize rather than.
It won't work. No,
So the department overview, there's still only 2 of us in the department. We've done an awful lot with being able to remote 2 people's desktops to do work, so we can be a lot more efficient with what we do. I don't expect the town will need more IT staff for years to come. I think we're doing quite well in that regard. So we have spent a lot of time with cybersecurity. As everybody probably knows, that's a big thing. We recently transitioned all of our town accounts to multi-factor authentication, which was an interesting transaction for some, but that seems to be working fine now. Will help with security going down the road. We also are working on moving away from physical servers to cloud storage and cloud devices, which costs a little bit more with licensing, but saves us on the physical purchasing of the physical hardware. So It's a little bit of a wash, but also gives more resources to people who want to work. If we ever decide to do some sort of hybrid work from home, those things are all available from wherever you have internet. So
Corey, is that migration complete?
it is not. We are in the beginning phases. We have completed one server. Originally, we were going to make the migration as the physical server came due to be replaced. So the first one was the Howe Library. That is complete. And we just completed that about a week ago. So we're kind of waiting to see how that all works. They were probably the easiest because they already were pretty comfortable with using OneDrive and SharePoint. SharePoint's a little bit new to them, but they were pretty comfortable with going that direction. Our next move will be Public Works, which may be a bit more challenging. We don't know yet. It's not a huge change to the desktop user, so we don't expect a lot of problems, but so we were going to follow the replacement schedule. We've gotten some requests from police to want to move a little quicker, so we may move them up a little faster. Our timeline may move up. But right now we're just a portion in.
How much space do your servers take up?
Physical space? Very little.
Yeah.
We have a rack. We have several racks that they slide in.
So it's not like an office worth.
No.
I know you're cramped for space, so it's like, oh.
No, we won't eliminate that much space, no. And there'll be other things in those racks. We'll still have a server that can't be, the town hall server can't go away because we're still gonna have pieces of local software, one being the new Clerk software. Our assessing software is still local, so that all needs a place to sit. We have other things happening. I don't know whether or not parking is going to move. If they don't move, we still house their software plus a virtual server for them for their website. So we still need some physical hardware that we'll need for years to come. So I don't expect to free up a seat for Rob anywhere.
I'll trade space.
So we can move forward one more, Rob.
I did.
Well, there we go. So I didn't include last year, this current budget. This is the proposed budget. There's very little change in this. It's a 5% change. And probably the two line items that have really changed. One is a small line item for mileage, which we have reduced because, as I said, we don't travel as much, so we don't need that. The second is the software maintenance line item, which has increased for a couple of reasons. One, we're getting some new software packages in town. And two, we had some software packages out in town that were in other budgets that we've corralled into one place. So those show up here now, so there's an increase, but some of that increase we were paying for anyway. So there really is not a large increase in that line either. We have maintenance lines that increase on a yearly basis, 5 or 6% usually, as companies want that increase. So key challenges, cost of software, that continues to rise, and the need is continuing to rise. As you'll hear, not only tonight, but as other departments come in front of you and speak to their needs. We have computers in dump trucks now that measure how much salt to spread and how much sand to spread. We have computers in cruisers, as we've had for many years. So everything is becoming computerized, and obviously there's software that goes with that, and then there's maintenance on top of that. Cybersecurity is a big deal. We continue to try to stay on top of that. Microsoft licensing, they continue to kind of squeeze us. We've been lucky over the years to be able to kind of work the Microsoft licensing for our benefit. Well, Microsoft has decided they don't like people doing that, so they've forced us to upgrade some of the licensing. But that's what's kind of forced our hand to move into cloud storage as well. So there's some increase there. We're trying to offset some of that with changing our endpoint security, which, long story short, some of the endpoint security comes with our new licenses. So if we move to that, we can eliminate what we're buying for that now. So there's a lot of moving shells there, but that's where we are.
You have the detail page there.
Not that confusing.
Yeah, but so I just, if you look at your budget detail, there's, you build other departments, because it looks like your total budget is maybe closer to $1 million. Is that fair to say? If we, I don't know, can you make those numbers bigger? So there's the 454, 493 total expense, but isn't that after deducting the 537 that you bill out to the other? I mean, just, this is more
Correct.
Yes,
for us to
Yeah.
think about it.
right,
Yeah, okay,
right.
yep, all right. So, and the biggest by far is that 585.
Yeah, there's nearly 600,000 in software maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are just the annuals
Just
subscription.
annuals. There's some software that costs us a lot of money. For instance, the police dispatch software is, I think, 180,000 of that. Some of that, and I'd have to look at Doug's detail, but I think some of that he may bill out to
Yeah.
other towns and things, but
So,
it's a big number.
That's actually, that would be an interesting number. You don't have to do this, but if you think about 590,000, $500,000 in software contracts, it'd be interesting to see who's spending the most money. Is it police? Is it fire? Is it planning and zoning? Where's Jen? Yeah, probably Jen.
We have that detail.
It would just be interesting
When I
because
build my budget,
that's it.
that detail's all there.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not I've never really noticed it before, but I was like, I don't really understand this.
I think the key though is, for example, is dispatch. We support 54 agencies. 20 something towns.
Yeah, 24 towns or something, yeah.
And 54
Yeah.
agencies.
No, and I think that's it goes to the value of regionalization and so, I mean, I think I'm not being critical, it's interesting that
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
have so much money
Yeah.
tied up in.
I think I'd be happy, I think Ellen has that, but I have it as well. It's interesting to see, you'd be surprised how much software support Public Works gets. Police has that one big number. They have a few other things too, but each department really adds their kind of thing to it, so.
We've seen those fancy trucks with salt
Yeah,
making devices in the front seat.
Yeah.
What's the percentage?
Yeah.
You
And
know, the highest paid CEO was last year,
What?
the CEO of Axon, the body cameras.
Oh, really? Wow, that's interesting.
Highest paid CEO in 2025.
I did pull it up and right now this budget contains just in the neighborhood of 200,000 for police. That's the top user of this resource. And then DPW not far behind, between 80 and 90,000. So.
That's perfect. I don't need any more information, but it's just interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
And to your point, Corey, about this sort of being squeezed by some of the software companies, it looks like that's $100,000 almost increase
Yes.
versus last year's
Yeah.
budget.
Well, and keep in mind, I think almost half of that, and it was elsewhere last year. It's just in this budget this year.
I see.
I think it's around 50 that was collected from
And
elsewhere.
Bamboo is contributing.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is new. Yeah.
right.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions from Corey? No. Okay. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
164 million.
That was just salary.
Yep.
Because everyone needs that kind of money.
Crazy, right? But I mean,
But
It's one of those things that like every police department has body cam. They're almost all accessible and no one's gonna cut it. Everyone's gonna pay.
Chad, welcome.
Hello all, so I'm here to present the budget for the planning, zoning and codes department. So department overview, it's a pretty neat department because not only are we responsible for kind of day-to-day operations of keeping the building permits flowing along, zoning permits, we issue both of those. We have code enforcement people, a building inspector and an assistant building inspector that go out and perform the inspections. They work with our admin to collect all the fees and keep those permits going along. We have 2 planners, 3 if you include me, that work with applicants to shepherd them through the process for obtaining approvals on that level, going through the planning board, going through the ZBA. We provide staff assistance to the Conservation Commission. And then on top of that, we also do special projects and special initiatives that are maybe closely related to your OKRs. Of course, we've got the sustainability master plan, so we're always working on implementing things from the sustainability master plan and focusing on housing that affects us on so many levels. So as far as mission and goals, it's sort of split. So, one of our mission and goals is, always improving transparency in that process and improving the efficiency of people moving through the permitting process and not feeling frustrated and being able to see what's going on. We have a software program called iWorks that allows people to log in and see what's happening. And so my mission, our goals in the coming year are to add a couple new staff members and then also, continue to get our team used to me because, it's a really great, efficient, well-running team and I'm a new person. So I'm still learning how to work with them without interfering with what they already know how to do and their independence and their autonomy. So that's working out well. Just stuck to the slide, but I realized after all these presentations that maybe I didn't understand the instructions well enough. We'll see. Let's pop right into the current budget overview. All right, so currently we have a budget of $1,237,466. The large part of that budget is personnel. That was up 17% apparently from the previous year, I think because we had some consultants that we used for various projects. Including a consultant that has been digitizing and helping us store our planning documents, which is the gift that we'll keep on giving. So every time someone comes to us looking for files, we're not gonna have to play around in paper files as much as we can just access those right online. So it'll be as slick as iWorks, I'm sure. So we're gonna wanna continue to work on that a little bit. That's another goal for the coming year. Summary with the proposed budget, it's gone up, actually come down a little bit. It's 9% less than the previous year. So the total proposed budget for fiscal year 2027 is $1,126,189. Same kind of split between personnel and operations. Key budget highlights. I should probably spend a little time to talk to you about the open positions. I mean, I'm sure it sounds familiar, but just as a reminder, there is a sustainability coordinator position that's vacant right now, a rental housing inspector, that's a full-time position, and then a part-time administrator. So those 3 positions are vacant. We could definitely use those people. When they come along, we'll have to do a little bit of reconfiguration of our office space. There's a little bit in the budget for that. And then the other sort of budget highlight that I guess I would bring up is that, we're done with a consultant that was doing all the scanning. So that's $100,000 that came out of the budget going into this year. So so even though we reduced it by $109,000 from the year previous. Ask me questions if there's any questions.
I have one.
Please.
So digitization, is this the same digitization effort that we talked about in basements?
So,
Yes.
Yes, okay.
The presentation you received at the last meeting.
Okay, yes, all right.
That was a cool presentation. I was totally jazzed by that.
Yes.
And I like the way you described it, a gift that will keep on giving.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
I want to highlight that the rental housing inspector is a self-funded position. And the part-time clerk is also part of that budget. So all the expenses that are in the budget for the rental housing inspector are driven by the revenues the position generates through the registration and inspections.
And you have an abundance of applicants for that position, for positions. That's a question.
They come in little by little. So we have probably one good candidate that we need to interview in each one of those positions right now, but we can also redouble our efforts posting it if that doesn't work out.
As you can well imagine.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that publicly. We have several candidates, several candidates we're looking at. But maybe not more than 6. So,
We have had some delay. We had a vacancy in HR. We had Jen getting up to speed and, I was trying to juggle a few too many balls. So some of the things had to fall by the wayside and trying to fill the positions for sustainability coordinator and rental housing inspector. Put on the back burner. Pete and Jen were working with Tina to go through the current candidate pool and reach out to them to see who's still interested because of the gap since the application process started. And from that, we're going to see if we need to re-advertise. The rental housing inspector, the candidate pool is limited based on what we're looking for experience in code-related inspections. However, we have at least 1 or 2 candidates that we're looking at this time.
Okay.
One came in mid-December.
Will the addition of the inspector free up some time from people who are currently backfilling, or is that really kind of all incremental activity?
We haven't launched the program where the mandatory registration inspection on a 3-year cycle hasn't been launched.
Sustainability coordinator should help
Yes.
because there's a number of staff people that attend those meetings, right? So just have 1 instead of 2 or 3 staffers. In theory.
In theory. There'll be some transition time, but yes.
My questions are about like the special projects. I think right at the end of the budget process last year, we decided that, we need some planning dollars to make sure we could plan to have new plans for like South Main and West Wheelock. But it strikes me that there's like a lot that we've been talking about. We really want a lot more housing infill. And we really think it's important that we have a plan for that. Is that something that we need to allocate funds to have consultants work with? Similarly, like the shared streets vision plan will get us part of the way there, but we'll need to develop a capital plan for walking and biking. Is that something that's going to be a special project in planning? I don't want to shortchange planning when we have so many plans that we want to do. So that's sort of where my questions are around.
Jen may be looking to me to answer some of these questions.
yeah, feel free. I know I have something to say, but it's probably not as good as what you're gonna say. So you start, and then I'll fill in if you miss something.
There's a baseline of 50,000 in consulting for planning that we carry in there to support town manager requests and other projects that come along that weren't programmed out. I guess what we should be doing is looking to see how we program out what you've described and see if we can attribute a real cost to them and how we budget for them. In the meantime, that $50,000 is sitting there for that purpose.
I could go, there's like, you know, the Ledyard Park, I know we're putting that up to, I know capacity ends up being an issue and seems important to that if we do want to accomplish these special projects because we've identified them as priorities. It seems important to allocate either time or funding to them.
Or both.
Yes.
That's good.
You would actually need, yes, some form or another, either by, I don't know, somehow wringing out more work from the existing people or hiring additional people on a temporary or ongoing basis, right?
And maybe as a follow-up, if I could, Jenny, just looking at the P&Z consulting fees line, you noted that we're dropping the 200,000 from the digitization project, but the consulting fees go down by 127. So it seems like there's 73,000, go down by the full 200,000. So it sounds like there's 73,000 that is being essentially, absent the drop of the 200, that would be an increase. I guess it is an increase. So there does seem like there's more resources there.
Yep. So I added a little bit for consultant that might help us with our zoning rewrite, and we still have a little bit of unused funds that we need to carry forward for opticos. But I didn't add anything for like bike ped projects specifically, because we're still trying to decide what department that's really housed out of, I think. I was gonna focus on the zoning work, zoning and site plan review.
So where would that be housed? We're thinking about planning for, if we're thinking about planning, like we have this big meeting tomorrow, South Main project. We have a, West Wheelock happening, and we have other connections that we want to happen and that we talked about. And yeah, I guess where do those projects live? So we should have that budget to make sure that is shepherded.
So South Main Street, West Wheelock reside with me in the town manager's department. That was the budget. I'm not sure where the money was. Select board.
Yeah.
That was the undesignated fund balance
Right.
appropriation of 200,000. So I've been taking the lead on that, trying to move the needle. Obviously the question is what capacity do we have to continue to do what we're doing, and are things moving along in a timely fashion? And I would say that there are things that aren't happening because we don't have the resources in the house.
Well, I mean, perhaps that's something, this is the first go around introduction. I think, housing has been discussed. Tina started it in terms of the need for housing, and, there's zoning changes, but there's also other things that we've talked about in our OKRs in terms of housing. And so as we think about things that we should aspire, we might want to fund this year, it might be, housing working group with some money to get some RFPs out on the street, or, I don't know what it is, but perhaps we could discuss this further, come back to us. I mean, I think housing is an issue. The shared streets plan, we haven't seen.
Right.
As a board, we don't know what the recommendations are. So, I'm reticent to do that, but housing has been right out there.
Well, it's just a plan. It's to develop a plan, right?
Right. But I mean, they've started to work on the shared street plans. Right. Caroline Radish is doing it, but I haven't seen it. We haven't as a board, it hasn't been shared with us. So
Right.
in terms of.
So I think the thing is though that I think we want a plan. So either that plan will be something we want, or we'll need to do more work on that. And that plan only takes us so far.
Right.
So, I mean, we've identified like some places that are gonna change no matter what. Because Dartmouth is doing a geo exchange project and digging up the street, right? And so we'll wanna make sure that we have a dollar so we can make the plan up to, you know, everybody's satisfaction before.
Before it gets built, yeah. Yep.
So that's, I feel like there's some timelines coming up that are, you know, stuff's breaking onto the streets. We're gonna fix the street to be better. If we had a plan for how to put them back together that met our goals as articulated in the sustainability master plan.
I think one of the benefits of an iterative budgeting process is for the board to reflect and come back and you know, ask us to build out some of the dollars associated with that, and then we can return with, as we did last year, different scenarios to be considered. So I think it's
kind of a fun place to be and say, hey, could you ask us for more money?
Being a planner is a fun place to be.
Right.
It overlaps with conservation, like, I mean, you could go nuts, you could talk all night long about stuff I should be doing, but like, that's the point we need to figure it out.
Yeah.
And isn't it fun to be the position that might actually mess with all that stuff? I mean, hence the sustainability master plan, right? And you have a myriad of different recommendations, and over time, we advance those recommendations. I love that you're getting it into a dashboard. That's the first step to trying to figure out what things you advance when. You know,
So we can certainly internally look at options based on this conversation and any other guidance you have.
Great, thanks.
All right.
Thanks for the
and I
good
did
work.
take a risk in my PowerPoint presentation I didn't really talk about, which is like, it's that you could all have a good chuckle at the new planner figuring out what Hanover's all about. Because when we talk about allocating time, I wanted to put a little excuse in there for myself, because I knew Jenny would be like, where are those houses? You know, like it takes time to do all that stuff, because the neighbors seem very upset every time we build something near them. And that takes a lot of time to answer all of those questions and like stroke those feathers and soothe that sun. So I've been surprised since I started here how much staff time goes to that, and that not everybody is happy about infill, and not everybody seems to be happy about subdivisions. And so that's also a goal for coming here to figure out how to strike that balance.
Yep.
Thank you.
For those of you who watched the planning board meeting on Tuesday.
Yeah,
Last week.
that was fresh at
Yeah.
the time I did the slide deck.
All right, thank you. And just want to read the room here a little bit and help me out, Rob. Do we want to take a sandwich break, or we don't want to take a
You
sandwich?
want to make
Maybe-
Ruby wait.
No, let's do
Sandwich
how,
maybe?
let's do how and then take a break, because Athos might be here by then. And
Yes, all right, okay.
because then all these guys can go home. They've been here since some.
However, Janice has to join you.
medical appointment in Boston, scheduled 13 months ago, and I thought I'd be back 5:15, but it didn't happen. I apologize.
We saved dinner for you.
We're just about ready to take a break, so.
They said they were gonna wait for you for dinner. Any questions? Thoughts?
Is there anything that people are doing to like stave off the collective costs?
I don't know if we have much control of that. I think there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes and trying to figure out how to keep that in line, but as far as I know, not that we've seen.
You should know that. Isn't that your dinner conversation?
I'm wondering if there'll be disruptors, and it seems they're incredibly popular and I imagine growing, but not to the extent that like cord cutting is happening, but still.
I think that's a challenge because it's such high demand and we're probably competing with streaming services as well. So we have conversations with some community members where they're like, I just get on Spotify, and we have to remind them that not everyone can afford all the streaming services. Or, I mean, I think if you have kids, you're checking out 20, 30, 40 books at one time. So that at some point, cost goes up as opposed to an individual adult that may check out 1 or 2 books or 3 or 4 a month.
Last year, there was an attempt to kill Libby.
Not necessarily Libby, it was the IMLS funding. So I think the federal administration was removing several funding sources. Libraries was one of the ones that were getting cut, but it looks like they restructured those committees or organizations. IMLS was reinstituted and that funding came back. So I think there was a year there of not knowing what was going to happen, but I believe that's, as far as we know, what the state has told us, that funding is in place till 2027. So, I mean, at this point, anything can happen, but right now we know we're in the clear to then. But that was a significant challenge, just trying to figure out where we would get the funding for that, because it is a big piece of our resources and services that we offer, particularly after COVID. I think that number spiked. We thought it would level off and it didn't. We're also one of the few libraries in the area that have kept Hoopla and Canopy. A lot of libraries realized they were not able to sustain the costs of that. We are fortunate because of the corporation that we are able to keep that. Staff also manage those numbers to ensure that we can sustain it as well. So that is one of the things that we've been able to keep and sustain. I'm fortunate for the Howe Corporation to be able to fund that.
In your detailed budget, there's a line for substitutes.
Yes.
And that's going up a fair bit, although also you have part-time going down a fair bit. Can you just explain?
Do you want to talk about that one, Ellen? I think
it really is just a use of accounts, and in talking to Ruby and Janice, discovered that although the use of that account was eliminated a couple of years ago, they really find it useful to have those dollars broken out. So if we're going to, add a line item or utilize an account, I always ask the question, will it change the way you manage your department? And the answer was yes.
And that funding was in there, but for some reason it was taken out of the line item. So I think that's where you see the discrepancy in the part-times, but it just wasn't. And we discussed, because I think it was a previous CFO that wanted to integrate it into the part-time salaries, which for us was a challenge because we couldn't track it. And Ellen and I discussed this year that it would make sense to bring that back and have it in a transparent line.
Jeff's budget.
Yeah.
Part-time and then substitute.
So I guess what's the difference in a part-timer and a sub?
So the sub technically is kind of our overtime budget. So if we have, so it's just it's always been called subs. So, but it's really, if we go over, that's where it gets dipped out of.
So it's not like it's a different staff, it's not like somebody.
No, it's just where if someone goes over their certain hours or we have extra need for whatever, in terms of overtime, that's where we would dip in. So it's kind of the buffer for that.
Thank you. Other questions for Ruby? No, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, thank you. All right.
Make sure you all take food.
Yes, so we're gonna take a little sandwich break. Ivan, do you have like
Here she is.
You've opened this, yeah.
Ivan, are we good? Thank you. I'm going to ask the board to indulge me and switch the agenda to allow for the public hearing, which was scheduled for 7 p.m. on the changes in rates and fees for dogs. The specific changes would strike the existing fee structure for FY 25-26 and simply refer to the statute for 4 categories of dogs fees. It's nuisance dog fines, menace dog fines, vicious dog fines, and unlicensed dog fines. The reason for this is there's tiered fines that occur depending on the event and the frequency of events. So a menace dog fine for first time is a flat fee as shown in the ordinance. I mean, the statute of $50. The second fine is $200. So this brings us into alignment with the statute and allows us to, we run into a situation where we need to use this and charge the actual fee that's provided in the statute. We understand why we're charging that fee. So with that in mind, I would suggest we open the public hearing, take public comment, and then consider these rate changes for adoption.
Okay, with that introduction, the public hearing is now open. An opportunity for the public to ask any questions that they might have. Do we have any public on Zoom?
There is one person on Zoom. If you would like to speak to this public hearing, please use the raise your hand icon.
And in the meantime, other members of the public who are here, any comments with respect to these dog-related fees and rates? Not seeing.
There's no request to speak from.
All right. Is there any further discussion that we need with respect to this proposal?
Seems reasonable to me. How would if I move to approve the 2025-2026 Police Department dog-related rates and fees as presented?
Second. All right, any further discussion amongst select board members? No, all those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you. We will now close the public hearing. And we will go back to our discussion on the budget. The last 2 departments are the town manager department and the select board department, each of which carry a number of ancillary funds. So Rob, when you get a chance to pull those up.
Start with the town manager budget. The town manager oversees the day-to-day operation of the town, managing all departments, reporting to the select board, and ensuring that all town operations respond to the needs of the local citizens. Goals as provided here are taken right from the OKRs from the select board. Retreat. Goal 1 is to advance the Hanover master plan. Goal 2 is improve fiscal transparency, accountability, and sustainability. Goal 3 is to retain, develop, and attract the best people. I've chosen to consolidate the slides so you can. Ooh, something is wrong.
$100. Sweet. Saving some money.
Yeah, let's take a moment.
Wow.
A lot of money saved.
there were so many iterations, I think, the draft that I forwarded got uploaded by mistake, so.
Not allowed to work for free, Rob.
This is my bad. I added the wrong one to the folder that Rob is using.
So let's go to the agenda.
PDF is actually
PDF.
popular.
Yes, that'll work.
My apologies.
Stop share. Share. Ah. So we spoke about the goals, the budget. As a direct comparison, side to side, total budget for the town manager is, department is 405,000. Currently proposed is 431,892. Personnel represents currently 295,000. Proposed is 310,000. The operation cost is going from 110,000 to 121,000. The variance from last year was a 31% increase. This year it's a 6% increase. Last year's increase was driven by an increase in the contingency fund and change in the benefits package. The town manager's benefit package were previously in the select board's budget. One of the significant changes in this round is moving Diligent Communities software out of the select board's budget, since it serves more, has the potential to serve more than just the select board. And rather than having the select board fund software, we're moving it to my budget or IT appropriately. And that is short and to the point. Questions for me? I can call up the lunch.
So can you speak to the $100,000 contingency fund?
Sure.
Maybe a little bit, just history. I think that's higher level than historically we've carried.
With the zero-based budgeting, I had concern last year going into it that we were stripping out too much and eliminating flexibility. I would suggest to you that we predicted the potential need for it. We now have, we've had some incidences that occurred that will require us to replace a cruiser out of cycle due to a vehicle is totaled. And we've had some damages to our facility at Public Works, our wash bay, that isn't programmed in, that we may need to tap the funds for. So I think it's appropriate using the zero-based budget to create this kind of flexibility. It requires the town manager to report back to the select board how that money has been spent at a public meeting. So we haven't spent any yet, but I'm carrying forward that contingency just because of my concerns that we've stripped away so much of the flexibility we had baked into the budget, that without this flexibility, we may be having to cancel programs or projects that we had otherwise funded.
Makes sense.
Last year, wasn't there a big electrical thing right after, another surprise? I guess we can always count on surprise.
Yes. So I'm still recommending that be carried forward.
Follow up on Jenny's comment about the planning board or the planning and zoning and codes budget. I think it's, it's raised a really good point. We have some things that we really want to do in terms of, especially in terms of housing. And we don't really have money in the budget to, we need to bring somebody on to help us or contract, do a subcontract to help supplement our staff and, move beyond talking about the need for housing and actually having somebody work on housing that has some expertise that can help us, make use of some of the properties that we've identified for housing or missing middle housing. as one example. So I just think we should be thinking about that. Where are we putting money aside to make that happen? So whether it's in town manager or planning, I'm just hammering it in, I guess.
Thank you. We will come back to you with some suggested recommendations. Thank you. Any other questions?
Town manager budget?
Move on to the select board budget.
And this is my proposed budget for you. Please know that it was developed without your input beyond the information that I've garnered through the OKR portion of our retreat. So the mission of the select board is to serve as the governing body and is committed to fostering transparent governance, sound fiscal management, and effective policy making. The goals for FY27, right out of the OKRs, objectives and key results, they're posted on our webpage. Advance the Hanover Sustainability Master Plan, improve fiscal transparency, accountability, and sustainability, strengthen town governance, retain and develop and attract the best people. So you can see some overlap here in goals. The comparison for FY26 versus 27. There are two elements that change dramatically.
Good night. Thanks for being here, guys.
In FY26, we had 200,000 for the Wheelock and Maine work underway and a carryover from the Brissett funds. In FY27, I'm including 100,000 for software and AI related improvements. I will say that we're developing a dashboard now. The goal is to mature that dashboard in FY27. There are actually 3 dashboards that are coming out of it: the master plan, the OKRs, and the budget. And my takeaway from the retreat was that we wanted them to be integrated, not siloed. And the easiest way to launch the dashboards is to create them as silos. So this next step is to integrate them so that there's linkages between the OKRs, the sustainability master plan, and the budget, so we can see how they come in from vision to implementation. There's also a desire to link the budget in real time to the activities by department. So for example, if Public Works has, I'm going to use a paving work or water line project that's budgeted, we know the expense or the proposed budget line item, we can then have it linked to the GIS that shows where the work is being done, what percent is complete year to date. That work is already being generated because it is monthly report. Now we can figure out how to integrate it. So that's the goal. And the second component of this funding is AI integration. The feedback I received from the December meeting encouraged me to consider outside the box thinking. I'm looking at a chat bot for our webpage so that you can ask it a question and it can go search our webpage and find the information that you're looking for. I'm thinking about developing an automated newsletter for all department heads. You know, it'd be a template. They would have a way to enter the data and it would generate a monthly newsletter similar to the town manager's report. Those are examples of the things we're thinking about. And this money would allow us to do that.
Exciting stuff.
The only budget that has less money for personnel than operations. By
I was thinking about that actually.
So
It should be.
Yes.
300,000 of your budget this year in fiscal year 27 is estimated to be the percent fund allocation.
Okay,
it's
so
money
this is
in,
where it's
money out.
lending, okay.
Correct, and that number will, should be actually discussed at the trustees meeting on Wednesday. It is based on the December CPI. We adjust the value of the principal for the Brissette Fund, and that CPI is being published tomorrow. So those calculations will be done and then presented on Wednesday. So we'll be able to come back and update that number.
It's currently 300,000 as a placeholder.
Okay.
That was forecasted by the chair of trustees at the December meeting.
And remind us, Rob, where do the social service requests live?
Parks and Rec.
Right.
In advance of the Parks and Rec budget, you'll receive a recommendation from town manager.
Okay. Thank you. Questions on our budget? Oh, okay. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. Business requiring action.
Yes. So $60,000 grant from the state of New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services to fund a drinking water infrastructure project. Terrific to have this grant. Thank you. Do you want to give us a little background on this?
Sure. We had a similar grant in this current fiscal year to look at water service line for lead content. And this is a continuation of this. This is a more refined approach based on the data we gathered. And we have been awarded the $60,000 subject to the select board accepting the money and certifying the vote.
Okay, so Joanna, would you like to make a motion? Or any further?
Sure, I move that the select board vote to accept the $60,000 grant from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services for a drinking water infrastructure project. Authorize the town manager to execute the grant agreement and all related documents on behalf of the town.
Is there a second? 20 seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Next up, we have an amendment, November 17th. To probably, to include the name of the electronic ballot counting system.
I move to amend the minutes from the November 17th, 2025 select board meeting to include the name of the electronic ballot counting system, Voting Works VX Suite V4.
Second.
Second.
Got this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Consent.
All right. Well, town manager report, there is none. Public hearing is done. Approval of items by consent. These are the minutes, December 15th, our request. Donations to various entities, 3 entities. Do any select board members wish to pull out any of the consent agenda items discussed individually?
I'm gonna abstain on the minutes. I don't know if you have to pull it. I guess you, whatever.
Yes, but we can do that. That's fine. So let's pull out the minutes. With respect to the other two, to go forward, is there a motion for items B and C?
So moved.
Okay, second? Second. Those seconds. All those in favor of consent agenda items B and C?
Aye.
Thank you. Athos, we're going to ask you to read out the.
Oh, good.
So,
Quite a list today, too.
I know.
There's a list.
It's penance.
This is for the Etna
It's
Library.
really messy.
There is a,
It's all right.
I hope I pronounce all these names correctly. Apologize if I don't. $1,000 donation from Lisa Koicher. $500 donation from Shelley Hochreiter. $500 donation from Jay and Colleen Rozzi. $250 donation from David Malenka. $200 donation from Victoria Drucker. $150 donation from the New Hampshire Humanities Council Incorporated. $100 donation from, thank you, from Frederick Perkins and Patricia Armstrong. $100 donation from Jerry and Pat Balcombe. $100 donation from Francis and Paul Gardent, $50 donation from David and Emily Allen Eccles. The fire department received a $100 donation from Joseph and Miriam Pedafar, and the police department also received a $100 donation from Joseph and Miriam Pedafar. These are wonderful donations, all of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Minutes of December 15th. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes from December 15th, 2025.
Okay, second.
Sure.
Joanna? Topics, any other conversation? No, seeing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay. All right. Then, Rob, unless there's anything else, we'll move into select board reports.
There's nothing else for me.
Anything else? Okay, terrific. Select board report. Select board reports. Nope. Okay.
From the downtown group, we received approval for a request for $150,000 donation matching from the Byrne Foundation for Ledyard Park. So we're pretty much halfway there as long as we can raise the money for the matching. And with the plans that we have for selling bricks, some other donors, small business donations, I don't think it's going to be an issue to raise that money. So pretty excited about that. And I do want to recognize Rob for his incredible work to make that happen, as well as Dave Anderson, who's really been pulling all the strings in the back. And then additionally, tomorrow we have that Bowman presentation for South Main Street. I think it's going to be pretty well attended. It sounds like there's a lot of people that are really interested in hearing what the plan is or what the potential plans are, and giving their input on what they'd like it to look like as well. That's all I have.
That's great.
Thank you, Joanna. I'm gonna stall for a moment. I'm gonna turn to Joanna. Anything?
Just kudos to the downtown group too, because over the holidays, the Christmas trees, the lights, everything was great. People were in really good spirits. So, congrats. That wouldn't have happened without you. A lot of those other people. So
Thanks. Yeah, a lot of other people. I didn't do much.
well,
Appreciate it.
Sustainable Hanover met in December. And yep, they met. There were a lot of people that I didn't, it is a very large group. Our staff, Rob was there, and Pete was there. There was discussion on the Community Energy Coalition. And then I actually had to leave 45 minutes into it. There was a presentation. You remember, Jenny? Were you online? You were online.
I was online. There was a presentation, I'm trying to remember which one it was, about I think it was about
Nothing.
the ASHRAE houses and becoming energy efficient and trying and talking to them, but I could be mixing it up.
And it was a lot of money. This is what I remember to do that.
Yeah, they're basically, they're really busy working on trying to figure out how everyone can know how to be sustainable from an energy perspective. They do a lot of following along with all of Pete's work and the rates, and making sure they understand what we're getting through community power and how that's all working. And they've been working with doing more projects with students, one of which they're doing with Chris Kennedy to try to model how a home can become more sustainable so that people have a better understanding of what investments pay off when and how to do it. If you have fuel oil, how much, when could you recoup your costs if you put in a mini split, stuff like that. And then they're working with some other statisticians to look at whether improving your energy source, like sustainability increases the value of your home, and other fun sort of community engagement projects that increase everybody's knowledge about the local energy situation.
And the other announcement was that the styrofoam and electric or Christmas light recycling is Saturday, January, let's think about this, 31st. And if it's the rain or snow date is the next day, I think it's on the website. They announced it. I don't have my notes. Sorry, I'm ill prepared. And then the other meeting that happened, Howe Corporation met, and it was a focus group work session talking about space planning with, it was actually a pretty good turnout. There was representatives from DPW, Carrie was there, we had corporation, some Howe staff, and the architects were, I think, Rob, you were there too. It was a very good, engaging, they had, people shared ideas about how the space could work better with some modifications to the design of the building. And, working within the footprint, and talked about outdoor space and indoor space and parking. And so I think that was, they're gonna take that and feedback from their survey work that's being data collected. And then they're gonna come back with some concepts to see how the space can be used more efficiently and effectively. So that's pretty much summarize it.
Setting the groundwork for what could be a significant renovation.
It's the ground level where, the meeting rooms are, that's some funky space down there. And the elevator doesn't work, and
Hidden door.
the hidden door behind the
and
mural.
very heavy doors and.
The long.
Yeah.
And there are no windows in them, and so a lot of things were discussed, we talked a lot about accessibility, making sure we're providing for universal accessibility and trying to minimize, steps and stairs and have good, it's 3 stories.
But if you do get to the 3rd floor, I've just been informed that there's an 8th grader who painted a picture of Magnus, my dog.
Oh, cool.
So
Wow.
that's exciting. That is on display.
Oh, is it the student art?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I
So
gotta,
go check it out.
yeah.
That's all I have, sorry.
That's the Hanover Finance Committee. Sorry,
Okay, good.
did you have anything else?
No.
No. Jenny, did you have anything else?
We had like a planning board meeting on the 16th, I think, December. We just said, anyway, the planning board's been dealing with a lot of applications for subdivisions. There was in rural Hanover, the lot size changed, so people can now subdivide. So they've been doing a couple of those, and then we have our first of the infill development. And there's just a lot of care going on with the planning board. Just asking a lot of questions and working with the owner to address all the questions to make sure that it's done in a way that works going forward. And any parts of the zoning is all like worked out. That's kind of fun.
And then there was a meeting this week, right? Oh, no, last week.
They're all like continuances of these,
Okay.
like, I think this is I know one, they didn't have a quorum, but so the 3rd time the infill one and the rural ones, sometimes they go away for a while and then come back because they have to get
More information.
or a zoning board approval for things that are just outside of the planning board's purview.
Morgan Road subdivision was conditioned upon a special exception for wetlands, buffer and wetlands impact. And so that caused a continuance until that was addressed. And then the subdivision, 3-lot subdivision in town. Quorum, we didn't have a quorum in December.
Yeah. Thanks.
I think the neighbors appreciate having the opportunity to come out again too. Like sometimes they don't hear about it right away, even though they're all noticed. So, yeah.
The Hanover Finance Committee met on Thursday. Ellen was there. The primary focus is the school budget cycle, which is, it's really kind of in its final stages. This is a busy week because the Dresden School Board is meeting tomorrow evening. The Hanover School Board is meeting Wednesday evening. And they will finalize presumably their budgets at that point. The preliminary, from a Hanover perspective, tax increases for the school portion is looking to be about 6.8%, although that may change depending on what happens at the Dresden and Hanover district meetings in the next 2 days. But that's about where it's coming out. There's discussion of some potential cuts, which is really just adjustments to various spending items that have been put forward. So that may temper that somewhat, but that's kind of where it's headed in terms of tax implication. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other further comments from select board members? I think, do we have need of a non-public, Rob?
I would like a brief non-public. Awesome.
All right, then unless there's anything else we should talk about, that we should have a motion to go into non-public. I'll make it pursuant to RSA 91:1:3 ADD. Need a roll call. We need a second, actually. Second roll call, please.
Russ, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Whitcomb, yes.